Bible prophecy is active and unfolding daily. Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38. Here is what the LameStream Media is not telling you.
Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast. From Ynet News, tens of thousands of participants from 80 different countries took part last Tuesday in the annual march in Jerusalem. Tourists, IDF soldiers, representatives of the security and rescue forces, street artists, dancers, musicians, and dozens of groups representing public bodies were seen walking side by side. Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat said, quote, "The Jerusalem March is a tradition which has lasted for more than 60 years. Every year it is exciting again, though as this year we celebrate 50 years of unification, it is even more exciting than ever," close quote. And from the U.S. State Department, the Department of State notified UNESCO Director General Irina Bokova of the U.S. decision to withdraw from the organization. Way to go, Donald. This decision reflects the U.S. concerns with mounting arrears at UNESCO, the need for fundamental reform in the organization, I'll bet that's an understatement, and continuing anti-Israel bias at UNESCO. Further, from the Times of Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu instructed the Foreign Ministry to prepare Israel's withdrawal from UNESCO, alongside the United States. Netanyahu said that he welcomes the decision by President Trump to withdraw from UNESCO. Quote, "This is a courageous and moral decision because UNESCO has become the theater of the absurd, and because, instead of preserving history, it distorts it," close quote. You know, you can always count on a brilliant quote from Benjamin Netanyahu. Then from AFP, France, Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon said last Thursday that Washington's decision to pull out of UNESCO marked a new era at the UN and showed there was a price to pay for discrimination against Israel. Then from the Times of Israel, several senior ISIS commanders who recently fled from Iraq and northern Syria are now based in southern Syria, just across the Golan Heights border with Israel, and they are recruiting, running propaganda efforts, and training hundreds of new recruits there close to the border with Israel. Well, can anyone tell me, where have all the Watchmen gone, my friends? Is no one watching anymore? Have they abandoned their posts because things aren't going the way they wanted them to? This is upsetting. So many shouted about September 23rd, got their viewers all worked up, and then when September 23rd didn't happen, suddenly they either disappeared, abandoning their viewers altogether, or they shifted to September 30th, sticking to the idea of a date being what the job of a watchman must be all about. And when September 30th brought nothing, once again they said nothing and abandoned their post. Really? The watchman has abandoned the wall and has now become, instead of the watchman on the wall, the man behind the curtain? Next, some other watchmen came out saying October 13th would be the date. But Now that date has passed, others are saying October 20th, and there are some out there who are now giving various dates for December as well. I doubt it'll stop. Come on. What exactly does it mean to be a watchman? Join me this Thursday, my friends, and I will tell you exactly what Yahweh's definition of a watchman is. Are you interested? I'll also tell you exactly what a prophet is, because there are many out there who call themselves prophets as well, and they also need to consider Yahweh's definition of what that means, not what they assume. Join me this Thursday. Turning to wars and rumors of wars. On Wednesday, October 11th, from Haaretz, Israeli soldiers came under fire along the border with the Gaza Strip. No soldiers were hurt in the incident. The soldiers were patrolling the Kisufim area when they heard gunfire. After calling in the shooting, an army lookout confirmed that the group had been fired upon, prompting the soldiers to return fire. Additional gunfire from Gaza ensued. Then on Sunday, October 15th, the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, said that they have started the final assault on Raqqa after the evacuation of civilians and Daesh terrorists, ISIS, who agreed to leave the city. Raqqa has been under Daesh control, ISIS control, since 2013, when the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, also consisting of Arab, Assyrian, and Turkmen fighters, among others, announced the start of a military operation to liberate the Syrian city of Raqqa from Daesh terrorist group with the assistance of the U.S.-led coalition's airstrikes. Raqqa's old city was freed from ISIS last month, and the SDF said on Sunday that the battle will continue until the entire city is clean of the terrorists who refused to surrender, including foreign fighters. Then from Haaretz, 2 rockets were fired from Egypt's Sinai Peninsula toward communities in southern Israel near the Gaza border, once again. 7 Egyptian soldiers were killed and 20 were injured earlier on Sunday when more than 100 ISIS fighters attacked a number of army outposts in northern Sinai. Then on Monday, October 16th, from the New York Times, Iraqi forces have begun an operation to seize the Kurdish-held city of Kirkuk and its surrounding oil fields, despite weeks of urgent efforts by the United States to keep tensions between its allies from boiling over into another war in the Middle East. Both the Iraqi army and Peshmerga have been trained and equipped by the United States as part of the American-led coalition battling ISIS in the country. But the other major players in the conflict, that is the Shiite militias that make up a considerable amount of Iraq's fighting strength, have largely been trained and supported by Iran. Then from Ynet News, the Israel Air Force attacked and destroyed a Syrian army battery located 50 kilometers east of Damascus, which earlier launched an SA-5 surface-to-air missile towards Israeli Air Force planes operating over Lebanon. Turning to our Intifada update. On Sunday, October 15th, from Ynet News, Israeli border policemen arrested a Palestinian attempting to enter the Samaria military court while carrying an explosive device in his underwear. Looking at our review of last week's news. Tens of thousands of participants from 80 different countries took part last Tuesday in the annual march in Jerusalem. Both the United States and Israel notified UNESCO of their decision to withdraw from the organization. Senior ISIS commanders are now based just across the Golan Heights border with Israel, recruiting and running propaganda efforts. Israeli soldiers came under fire along the border with the Gaza Strip. Syrian Democratic Forces have started their final assault on Raqqa. 2 rockets were fired from Egypt's Sinai Peninsula toward communities in southern Israel near the Gaza border. Iraqi forces have begun an operation to seize the Kurdish-held city of Kirkuk and its surrounding oil fields. And the Israeli Air Force attacked and destroyed a Syrian army battery located 50 kilometers east of Damascus. And Israeli border policemen arrested a Palestinian attempting to enter the Samaria military court while carrying an explosive device in his underwear. And that, my friends, is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week. Until then, stay safe. Shalom.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath a naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.